You're watching Life Network, an Alliance Atlantis network.
Hi, I'm Deborah Kelly. Welcome to Diagnosis MD. Today's topics are skin cancer, reducing wrinkles, common skin conditions, athlete's foot, and impetigo. Joining us today is Dr. Paul Cohen, a dermatologist, Dr. Martie Gidon, a dermatologist, and Dr. Charles Lynde, also a dermatologist. Our first topic today is skin cancer. 80% of exposure to the sun occurs before the age of 18. Tanning spiraled into popularity in the 1920s when French designer Coco Chanel pronounced tan skin as fashionable. Nearly 50% of all new cancer cases are skin cancers. Melanoma is the 5th most common cancer in men and the 7th most common cancer in women. Now, Martie, when we think about cancer, there is basal cell, there's squamous cell, and of course melanoma. And basal cell accounts for 80%, squamous 16, and melanoma 4. Maybe you can explain the difference between basal, squamous, and melanoma.
Well, these types of skin cancers come from certain cells within the skin. There's a basal layer with basal cells, and then the squamous layer, and melanoma is from melanocytes. So there's specific cells found within the skin.
And Paul, what's the cure rate for basal cell and squamous cell?
Fortunately, the cure rate for basal cell carcinoma is very high, upwards of 90%. Squamous cell, not quite as high, but again, a very treatable and curable cancer if caught early.
And how about melanoma, Charles?
Melanoma, luckily, is also usually because of education now. People know the ABCs of abnormal moles and come to see people much earlier and have them diagnosed earlier and having them excised. So again, the cure rate approaches 100%. Unfortunately, some people come when their melanoma is too far advanced to have a cure.
And I guess, Paul, we can look at as well certain ways of preventing exposure to sun. I mean, we all have to go outside, but sunscreens are important. Hats, other things maybe you can tell us about?
Well, sunscreen is obviously part of it, and we recommend that people use an SPF of at least 15. It's important to apply it in a thick layer, and you need to use sunscreen in conjunction with a hat, sunglasses, avoiding midday sun, seeking shade. So sunscreen is a part of it, but you have to use a lot of common sense as well with regards to sun exposure.
And reapplying the sunscreen as well. It's sort of not just put it on in the morning and forget about it for the rest of the time that you're exposed.
Absolutely. It's important that you reapply it after swimming. Every couple hours it's a good idea to reapply it. And if you've been sweating or participating in sports, again, it's very important that you reapply the sunscreen to get the full protection it provides.
And Martie, maybe you can talk about the UVA and the UVB rays, because the UVA is 100 times stronger than the UVB rays.
Well, UVA rays penetrate more deeply into the skin, and they can cause skin cancer, and certainly at tanning salons they have mainly UVA, so it's important to avoid tanning salons as well as protect yourself from the sun. But UVA will cause wrinkles, lines, aging of the skin, as well as skin cancer. And UVB is more of the burning rays. So when you see immediately after sun tanning a redness or the blistering, that's UVB rays. And again, it causes skin cancer.
And what about kids, Charles? What sorts of things can we, sort of encourage children to do? Because, you send them to camp and you hope they're following through with what you're telling them, but sometimes you need a counselor or someone else to guide them.
Certainly, absolutely. Basically, as you just mentioned previously, over 80% of our sun exposures happen before we're age 18. So you want to concentrate on kids and making sure that they do wear their hats, do wear their sunscreen. So I think educating them, but also educating the people that run the camps that this is very important.
Almost make it like a regimen as part of the morning. You have breakfast and then you do your sunscreen.
Absolutely.
Charles, I also think that we can say that sun exposure is dangerous in the winter as well. People have this tendency to believe that it's only spring and summer.
Yes, if you're out there skiing, particularly skiing, and it's a nice warm day and there's sunlight, it exposes off of the snow and into the face. So wearing the sunscreen onto those areas that are open to the air, such as the face, is very important.
I think the UVB rays, Paul, are actually greater when they're off of reflection, off of sand and water and asphalt, so it would obviously be the same with snow.
Yeah, it's very important that you protect your skin when you're participating in winter sports, and a lot of people don't remember that because they're not hot and feeling the heat, but they can have lots of sun damage during the winter months.
Although incidences of skin cancer grow every year, the good news is that most forms of skin cancer, if diagnosed early and treated appropriately, can be cured.
Closed captioning on Life Network is brought to you in part by the Government of Canada. For more information about the new Compassionate Care benefit, call 1-800-OH-CANADA or visit www.canada.gc.ca. Saturdays on Life Network.
It's very exciting.
Get all the celebrity info you can handle.
I like sugar.
And here's some fun extra info
In a whole hour of star power.
Now it's time for reality. I'm innocent.
That's part of what makes us who we are.
Who am I?
That's what we do. We joke. Hey, Extra, thanks for visiting. We'll see you later.
This news can't wait till Monday. Extra, tomorrow at 1, after Trading Places on Life Network. Are you one of the millions of Canadian women who feel twisted, or bloated, or constipated? If your body is telling you something's wrong, don't ignore your gut feelings. Relief may be closer than you think. Effective treatments that may be new to you can help you ease your symptoms and feel more like yourself again. Speak to your doctor to find out more, or call 1-866-MY-GUT-FEELINGS, or visit the mygutfeelings.ca website. Go with your gut. It'll thank you.
Flossing? It's a hassle.
Introducing new Reach Access Daily Flosser.
It's got a handle. It's easy.
New Reach Access Daily Flosser makes flossing as easy as brushing.
Do you ever go skinny dipping?
No.
Do you ever date younger men?
No.
Do you ever lie about your age?
No, I'm only 28. Fool even your toughest critics. Olay Total Effect 7X has the power to fight 7 signs of aging. It also moisturizes better than these major department store brands. 7X. To fight signs of aging in your sleep, try Total Effect's Night Firming.
Last weekend, millions of people discovered a movie like no other, Hidalgo. It's an action-packed masterpiece that will take your breath away. Hidalgo, based on a true story. Now playing.
Silhouette from Danone takes Nutrition Month to heart and helps break dieting myths. Who would have thought that eating snacks throughout the day could be beneficial to your health? Surprised? The right snacks speed up your metabolism, give you regular doses of energy, and help maintain your weight. But be careful as to what kind of snacks you choose. Low-fat dairy products, fruits, vegetables, and low-fat muffins are healthy and nutritious alternatives. Silhouette, pleasure that stays with you.
Look at the camera, Logan. Beautiful, come on.
Smoking increases the severity of wrinkles by as much as 50%. North Americans spend more than $13 billion per year on cosmetic products to mask the signs of aging. Ultraviolet radiation accounts for approximately 90% of early skin wrinkling. This is a hot topic, Charles. Everyone wants to avoid the aging process, and there's all kinds of things out on the market. Botox, implants. What do you say to patients when they come to you?
Well, certainly, as you say, it is a hot topic. A lot of people do come. Some people want to age gracefully. Aging gracefully often means doing something in small amounts, and often there are different creams. There are different Retin-A type creams that can be used to put topically on the skin to improve things. Other people, sometimes putting Botox or other fillers into the skin can be beneficial.
Now, what about things where people are smoking, and is that one of the first things you try to have them quit if they're smoking, say?
Absolutely. I think you got to get them to stop smoking. You really got to keep them out of the sun. Sun really is one of the major things, and it's been estimated that, as you say, over 90% of your aging of your skin is related to sun exposure. Get them out of the sun, get them to stop smoking.
And Paul, another thing too that I think is important is diet. You know, how much are they eating, and how is it affecting their skin and just their weight gain?
Well, there's been a lot of speculation that certain foods can help prevent wrinkles, certain omega acids, certain high diets high in salmon and certain fishes that have been popular. It's important that people have a healthy, balanced diet for many reasons, including wrinkle reduction. And I think most importantly, sun exposure you really have to limit to keep your skin looking young.
Now, what about antioxidants, Martie?
Antioxidants also play a role. They help reverse some of the damage from the sun, vitamins C and E in particular. And there are other procedures that patients can do as well. There are light chemical peels, there's microdermabrasion, and then getting into more invasive techniques. There's CO2 resurfacing laser or dermabrasion. So there are many options, and you just have to discuss with the patient what they're comfortable doing, and then just
Well,
try
even
it.
the glycolic peels, don't they call them the lunchtime getaways, Paul?
Well,
They're called the lunchtime peel. The reason they're called the lunchtime peel is they're a very quick and easy procedure to do. A fruit acid is painted on the patient's face from anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. The patient's face looks good, a little bit red perhaps when they leave the office, but they can go right back to work. There's very minimal downtime, and over time a lot of good benefits from them.
And Martie, you were going to say something?
No, I was just going to say that there's so many procedures that either you can do in just a few minutes in the office and go right back to work. And these little things can make a difference. And you can do several little things, and they all complement each other, these treatments.
Charles, even exercise and drinking water, I'm sure, is important for just overall health.
Overall health is a good thing, yes.
Diets with plenty of whole grains, plant foods, and healthy oils have been proven to reduce the incidence of wrinkles by as much as 70%. In their mid-teens, more than 40% of adolescents have acne severe enough to require some form of treatment. Dandruff affects about 50% of North Americans at some point in their lives, and rosacea affects over 1.5 million Canadian women. So, Paul, we've approached a lot of different topics here. Maybe we'll step back to acne first. I mean, acne can be very traumatic for both teenagers as well as adults.
About 90% of people that we see will experience acne at some point in their life, and obviously it is very traumatic, especially for people that were lucky and didn't get it during their teenage years. You have a lot of adult women and men who are very, very offset by having acne in their adult years, but a very common problem.
Now, Martie, how come rosacea seems to be more common in women than in men? Is it the hormonal thing?
It may have something to do with hormones. It also can be affected by the sun. The sun can cause more of the blood vessels to develop. And usually when hormones change, so perimenopausally, it's a common time for women to develop rosacea.
And Charles, you're lucky you get dandruff.
Okay. Luckily I don't have any, I don't think.
That's right.
But it's a very common condition. A lot of people come to see a dermatologist or their family doctor because of this, and getting extra scaling of the scalp and itching with the scalp. There are a number of different shampoos that are now available that can benefit and make it much better for them.
Now, psoriasis too, Paul, is another common skin ailment as well.
Psoriasis can be very, very devastating. Some people might have some red, scaly patches on their elbows or knees or in their scalp, and some people might have psoriasis all over their body, which is very socially upsetting, but a very common problem as well.
And eczema, Martie?
Well, eczema is very common. There's atopic dermatitis, which often can occur in children, and they may or may not outgrow it. And again, it can develop later on in life. But there are other different types of dermatitis. There's a contact dermatitis during the summertime. We see a great deal of a poison ivy or plant type of dermatitis. There's seborrheic dermatitis, where there's flakiness around on the face and in the scalp again.
Sometimes even the jewelry that you wear, you can, I guess from the nickel?
Sometimes you can react to jewelry. Usually it's a nickel allergy, but even gold will contain traces of nickel, so you have to be careful.
I think one of the commonest dermatitis that I see in my office is actually hand dermatitis, where a lot of women particularly are exposed to soaps
and detergents.
And at work and everything else. And this current SARS epidemic is obviously making people more washing their hands.
Right, which I guess with SARS, that's the best thing that happened, is having people more aware of washing their hands, and even children washing their hands. I know that at the time my children had to take, soap from home so that everyone had their own little soap on their desk so that they weren't contaminated. Now, another thing too that's common is, of course, liver spots or age spots, Paul.
Yeah, we call these lentigos, or also known, as you said, as liver spots. And these are brown spots that develop on the face and the arms and the legs on sun-exposed areas that increase in number as the patient ages. And usually they're of no consequence unless they were to change. Cosmetically, they tend to upset people, but as long as the lesions are stable, they're not changing size, shape, or color, if they don't bother you, you can leave them alone. But it's important to wear lots of sunscreen because it's a reminder to you that you're getting too much sun exposure.
And Martie, you were telling me the nickname behind why liver spots are called liver spots, because it has nothing to do with your liver, so maybe you can tell the public.
A lot of people think they have liver disease, and they come in and with their liver spots and would like to have their liver checked. But really, I think the name derived because it's the color of liver.
Vitamin C is the most powerful antioxidant that can be found readily available in foods and supplement form. A must for that healthy glow. Vitamin C is also widely available as a topical treatment.
Silhouette from Danone takes Nutrition Month to heart and helps break dieting myths. Are you thinking of losing a few pounds by skipping breakfast or lunch? Well, think again. By depriving your body of the calories it needs, you create a chain reaction. To defend itself, your body starts stockpiling calories and stores them as fat. To prevent this, eat 3 well-balanced meals per day, rich in fiber and protein. This way, you'll avoid uncontrollable eating urges and you'll give your body all the energy it needs. Silhouette, pleasure that stays with you.
When you leave here, you'll be lean, mean, computer-buying machines. I'll give you the skills, the smarts, and the courage.
I do not have to settle for what's on the shelf. Your PC jargon has no effect on me.
It won't be easy. Drop down and give me 50. But you'll be able to buy a computer without getting ticked off and sit home crying to your mama.
Want an easier way to buy a PC? Don't go there. Go Dell. Forget all the mega this and giga that. Just tell Dell what you want to do with your PC in plain English. Call Dell today for great deals. Right now, a Dimension desktop with an Intel Pentium 4 processor is $599. Plus, get free hard drive upgrades, and on select PCs, pay $10 for shipping. And from $119, enhance your desktop with an all-in-one printer.
Why don't you just quit?
I still don't know how to format a hard drive.
Reliable PCs, easy as Dell.
Dell PCs use Intel Pentium 4 processors.
Introducing a toothbrush that makes your smile whiter. New Crest Spin Brush Pro Whitening. The first spin brush with 2 moving heads and polishing bristles to brush away stains as it cleans for whiter teeth in 14 days. Guaranteed.
Bust a move!
On DVD, it's Disney's Home on the Range sing-along songs. With lots of songs from the new movie, plus get a free child's ticket to see Home on the Range. Home on the Range sing-along songs. Disney branded on DVD and video March 23rd.
Athlete's foot occurs primarily in teenage and adult males. The infection is extremely uncommon in women and children under the age of 12. The medical term for athlete's foot is tinea pedis. Now, Martie, it's interesting when we think about athlete's foot because you don't necessarily have to be an athlete to get athlete's foot.
No, of course not. Some people are perfectly healthy, but their immune system does not fight off this particular fungal infection. And the perfect place to pick it up is in a gym, change room, swimming pools. So people who are more athletic and in these situations are more likely to develop athlete's foot.
The other thing, too, is we have to look at, Paul, is that when you come out of the shower, make sure you really dry your foot thoroughly.
It's very important that you dry your foot thoroughly. It's good to wear cotton socks. And sometimes if people have a predisposition to this infection or keeps on happening, you can tell them to put some antifungal powder in their socks, and sometimes that can help keep the infection away.
I even get people to use a hairdryer. I think that's often useful too.
And Charles, how about antifungal powders?
I think they're also very useful. I mean, you really want to treat this disorder because this is a disorder, one, that can cause a lot of itching and irritation to the foot, but it often is a portal of entry of a bacteria into the foot and the leg that can potentially even cause cellulitis, which can be particularly serious in, say, a person that's diabetic.
Definitely with someone who's diabetic, and even things, sometimes you can get fungus under the toenails, Paul, and that's even harder to treat, isn't it?
Yeah, if you have a fungus infection on your foot, eventually it can go into your toenails, and this is tricky to treat. You actually have to take pills for up to 3 months. No cream will get rid of a fungal infection in the toenail, so you really have to take oral medication to get rid of it.
Now, what are the first signs or symptoms that would manifest themselves, Martie?
Often in between the 4th and 5th toes, you can get a scaling and redness, itchiness. Sometimes it's even wet and oozes a little bit. And then it can spread to other toes. It can spread along the sole of the foot. And very often, even with treatment, these fungal infections do tend to recur, so you have to keep an eye out for them and try and catch them early and treat them.
And what sorts of treatments, Martie?
Well, first of all, there's topical treatment, and there are various creams that are available. Several are over the counter, and they work very well. There are several on prescription, again, and they can work well. Also, in stubborn cases, or if you do have nail involvement, you do need oral medication, and there are several pills that can work. You take them for about 3 months, and then you might take a month's break and then be reassessed by your doctor, see how things are going, if the nails are starting to grow out normally, because it can take almost up to a year for the nails to grow out normally. And just keep an eye out.
And Paul, what other areas of the body might be infected by a fungus?
Well, it can affect almost any area of the body: fingernails, the groin, the scalp, anywhere on the body.
Jock itch?
Which is when a fungus affects the groin. It's a very common problem: scaliness, itchiness, and treated in very much the same manner that you would treat an infection of the foot. The scalp is an exception. If there is fungus in the scalp, you need to take pills. A cream won't work.
And Charles, I guess the easiest thing is to pass a fungus along, especially if you don't even know that you have one.
Well, fungus isn't really super highly contagious, much like chickenpox or impetigo is, but certainly it is a contagious sort of thing. So it's not uncommon for us to see people that have, quotation marks, athlete's feet, who also get jock itch because they do spread it from one area to another.
Not surprisingly, athlete's foot does not occur on people who traditionally go barefoot. The fungus needs heat and moisture to develop as an infection.
Now for today's extended weather forecast. That warm front is going to bring heavy rain up north, which should raise the water levels to new highs. But with that cold front right on its heels, be ready for snow at the higher altitudes, as well as freezing conditions lower down. For any of you who want to get out of town this weekend...
With real-time four-wheel drive and plenty of cargo space, it'll handle whatever you throw at it. The versatile 2004 CR-V from Honda.
Bam, bam, bam! Introducing Crest Whitening Expressions in surprising new flavors. Cinnamon Rush, Fresh Citrus Breeze, and Extreme Herbal Mint. That really kicks it up a notch. The whitening won't surprise you, but the taste will.
To exfoliate and renew your skin every day, would you use something rough? Or hard? Or abrasive? Or something soft and silky that polishes skin gently? Introducing Dove's exfoliating bar with tiny blue beads and a quarter moisturizing lotion to reveal fresh, beautiful skin every day.
So you want your dear old Uncle Angus to lend you $200 till next payday? Well, let me tell you, in my day, we'd break our backs, swept chimneys, cutting fish. You say they're nice smashed rocks, milk goat, 25 hours a day. Pinched every penny. 'Cause the world judges a man by the size of his sporran.
Need cash before payday? It's cheaper than you think. And now Money Mart also offers same-day tax refunds in cash with Easy Tax.
Nice take.
Impetigo is one of the most common childhood skin complications. Over 90% of those infected are young children. Impetigo infections are most common during the hot and humid summer months. And of course, impetigo can be caused by two bacteria, Streptococcus or Staphylococcus. Maybe you can explain to us the difference and how they manifest themselves, Paul.
Well, usually impetigo looks like what we call a honey-colored crust. It's a sore on the face or in the hands or anywhere on the body. The two bacteria usually cause a similar clinical presentation. However, the Staphylococcus sometimes can cause more blistering to develop in the skin, but usually hard to tell which bacteria is causing the infection.
But in children, usually it's Staph aureus. That's far more common.
And would you say that one bacteria is more dangerous than the other?
Well, theoretically, with strep infection, on rare occasion there can be infections that involve the kidneys later on in life, but that's not terribly common.
Now, I think impetigo can also manifest itself if there's already another skin irritation, Charles, such as eczema or cut.
Yeah, if there's dermatitis on the skin, or if they have a cold sore around their face, it often gets secondarily infected by these organisms, either the strep or the staphylococci.
Charles, how is it actually transmitted?
Impetigo is a highly contagious bacterial infection, and it's almost always transmitted by touching. Very common in children, particularly camping. So one camper touches the other one and gives them the impetigo.
Especially younger children. Not only do they touch, they, share their food and everything else. Now, what about treatments, Martie?
Well, if there are just one or two isolated areas, I like to treat with just a topical antibiotic. But if it's more extensive or it's continuing to spread to new areas, usually you need a systemic antibiotic or by mouth.
And Paul, how frequently do you see impetigo in your office?
Impetigo is a very, very common childhood infection. It can occur from a cut that's been infected or not looked after properly, but other conditions in dermatology like eczema or psoriasis, for some reason, if these lesions become infected, you can see a lesion of impetigo develop on top of them. So I see it very, very frequently, as would many pediatricians or family doctors as well.
And Charles, I guess you would see it often as well, too?
Yeah, as a dermatologist, this is something that I see almost on a daily basis, but particularly during the summertime.
I guess this is another area where washing hands would be very important, Martie.
It is very important because it's so easily passed in the household from one child to the next or with their friends. And you have to make sure that you don't share towels, that you just have good hygiene.
And of course, good hygiene is important just in general, isn't it, Paul, for all aspects of healthy living?
Well, absolutely, but as a consequence, many of the infections we've discussed today can occur because of poor hygiene. The fungal infections, the bacterial infections, or impetigo can really be cut down to a minimum with good hand washing, good cleaning, good showering, especially in kids who really need reinforcement in that area.
Impetigo has often been called school sores because it occurs most frequently among school-age children and is highly contagious. Thanks to all the doctors who appeared on today's program for providing their invaluable advice and insight into the problems facing medicine today. If you have any questions or concerns about these or any other medical topics, consult your doctor. That's it for today. I'm Deborah Kelly, and we'll see you next time on Diagnosis MD.